Hey, what's up everybody? It's Matt from HowToMotorcycleRepair.com. In today's video, we're going to talk about two-stroke ignition timing. Alright, before we get into the video, I want to share some pictures from my family's spring break trip. This is the first major trip we took other than staying in the Chicagoland area or just over the border in Wisconsin. We drove all the way down to Cosby, Tennessee, which is near Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and we rented a cabin on 3 acres, and really it was just about spending some quality time with the family. So we cooked up some s'mores. So this cabin had an awesome creek in the backyard, and it just made a nice, soothing sound day in and day out. And we also visited the Smoky Mountain National Park for a little bit of hiking. Now, what really surprised me is how dry some of the counties are around there. I wanted to get some local whiskey, try different bourbons or whatever they have in that area, and there was no hard alcohol and no wine at a lot of these gas stations. I mean, really, that wasn't the purpose of my trip, but I was just looking to try something a little different. So just picked up some beer at the local gas station and just hung out at the cabin most of the time. Now, speaking of beers, a couple weeks ago I had a video where I mentioned I got over 100 beers from you guys, where you guys bought me a beer. Now that number's up to 180. So if you bought me a beer, thank you so much for that support. I mean, it really means a lot to me for what I do here on this channel. And I also got this new cool shirt, Beer Makes Me Happy. Also, I got my 4th patron, so now with the 4 patrons, I'm getting $30 per video I create. So to my patrons out there, thanks so much for the support. I mean, it really means a lot to me. Also, I want to share an email that I just recently got. It's from Lucas from Ontario, and let's see what he wrote in. And I get emails like this probably weekly, and they're very motivational for me. They really, it's just really reinforces what I do here on this channel, and I try to help you guys out here. So it says, hey Matt, just wanted to say thanks again. All of your YouTube videos as well as the full rebuild video I bought from you has been crucial to the teardown and rebuild of my 99 KX250. I rebuilt the entire motor, bearings, seals, crank, piston, rings, gaskets, etc., and replaced every bearing in the linkage, swing arm, shock, and wheels. I did a lot of other work too, but I just wanted to show you my first fire up after I got it back together. It was a lot of fun, and I look forward to someday rebuilding another bike. I learned a lot of stuff from your videos, and I'm very thankful they took the time to make them. Cheers. All right, so he shared a pic of his bike, and he also shared a fire up clip, so let's go ahead and play that. All right, Lucas, the bike sounds awesome, man. I'm so glad that you were able to just do it yourself, man. I love seeing that, and I love when people share pictures of their projects and stuff like that. I mean, it's really motivational, so thanks for sharing that with me. All right, guys, so the footage I'm about to show you is the actual footage from my KX250 top and bottom end engine rebuild video. The top end video is about 3 hours long. Bottom end is, top and bottom is 6 hours long. So this is footage straight from that video, and it shows you how to fully disassemble the flywheel, the stator, and all that. Now, this is all extra footage, so when you're adjusting the ignition timing, all you have to do is loosen 3 screws and move the stator plate one way or another. I also have a flywheel weight, and the access to the screws is not ideal or perfect, so maybe you might have to remove. So if you're running a flywheel, you might have to remove that anyway, and I show you how to do it. All the tools used in this video can be found in the video description, or if you click here, you'll see the blog post, and that'll redirect you to my website, and I just link to all the stuff that you need. All right, so why adjust ignition timing? Well, if you adjust it, if you retard it or advance it or leave it stock, they will all give you a little bit different power curves that the engine can put out. So advancing the timing or having the spark earlier will give you a harder mid-range hit. However, the disadvantage is it won't rev out as much as if it were standard or retarded timing. So you got to outweigh the pros and cons of why you do one or the other, and it depends really on what kind of riding style you do or what terrain. Now I know what you're probably thinking, why can't I just advance the hell out of the timing and have a lot of power? Well, there's a point that you're actually going to get like pre-ignition or pinging, and it's actually going to, the pressure that builds from the early burn will actually push against the piston, and you're going to get diminishing returns as far as power is concerned. So you can only go so far. Now retarding the timing will give you less of a mid-range hit, maybe mellow it out a little bit. However, allow you to over rev the engine more than if it were at standard or advanced timing. I'm going to show you a video clip of me riding the bike towards the end, and you can, that's set up at retarded timing, so you can definitely tell, I can tell a little bit of a difference at that setting versus the standard. Now, my KX250 has adjustable timing. Let's say you have a model with non-adjustable timing, meaning it has 3 screws, you can only put it in one way. Well, you can file the holes. I've done that in the past where you can tweak it that way as well. So if you got some different kind of model, you can always play with that as well. All right, guys, that's all I got to talk about, so let's get right into the video. Let's remove the gear shift lever, 8mm over here. Camera's kind of in the way of me working here. Just go ahead and wiggle it off. Let's remove this cover. And mine have Phillips screws because I have a flywheel weight on here, and these are the screws it came with. Normally it was a 8mm drive. So I'll show you how that works in a second here. So the flywheel weight comes with an extra gasket and a spacer and longer bolts because this is slightly bigger. So just keep that in mind. Alright, the reason I took this cover off is because I want to check the main bearings. So basically I'm moving this up and down to see if there's any play. Now in and out is okay. There's going to be a little bit of that. But basically I just want to check the main bearings. Everything seems really tight, but again the rod's a little loose, so we're going to have to do a bottom end on this. Before we continue on the right hand side here, removing all this here, we're going to jam some gears here and jump over to the left side and remove the flywheel. Now I have a flywheel weight on this thing, so I should have thought ahead and used the piston stop and removed the flywheel weight. Well, the top end is disassembled and there's no way to get a strap wrench on it, so what I have to do is jam the gears. Now Motion Pro makes a nice gear jammer here. It's part number 08-0427, and you can also use a piece of aluminum, a penny, a nickel, something to wedge in here and jam the gears. Obviously a material softer than the gears itself, but the nice thing about this is it has a magnet right here. So basically it's going to get held in place, and what you do is you just kind of stick it in there, and then when you rotate it, hopefully it'll jam the gears just like this. Okay, so that's nice and jammed in there. It's going to lock everything up when we go to twist it off on the other side. Before we jump to the other side, here's a closer view. It's just locked in between those two gears. All right, so we're on the left side here. This is the flywheel weight that I was talking about. Now, this gold piece is a nut. In stock form, you just have a nut on here instead of this gold piece, okay? So this weight, it actually locks and acts as a nut for the flywheel. And it produces some mass, and it has benefits of adding traction. It kind of tames the vehicle and stuff like that. So I have this on here. I'm not sure if I quite like it just yet. I mean, it's better on the slow speeds. It lugs the motor much better down low. So I got a review on this on my website. All right, so basically there's some set screws all the way around here that you need to undo first. So I'll back these out. And I think my gear jammer just shifted on the other side there, but I'll run over there and undo it. Next up, this is the puller that comes with it. Not puller, but just a wrench. And it's modified, of course, because I bought this and it had a square, half-inch square drive that was completely stripped out, so I welded a hex on here. Okay, the gear jammer is set up. Let's just go ahead and crack this loose. Alright, that loosened nicely. So you guys without the flywheel weight basically have that. And if you wanted to, you can remove this and put a strap wrench on it, like I have here is the BOA. So basically you can get that around here, just like that, and you can do the same thing with the wrench and crack this loose. Or do the gear jammer on the other side, or an impact. Alright, back on the right side, we can go ahead and remove the gear jammer. So this thing did a nice job, and there's no marks on this, so it's pretty effective. What you're going to need is a Motion Pro 08-026 puller. And put a little bit of oil on the threads here, and it is a left-hand thread to get it in. And what you want to do is thread it in as much as possible. What I have here is a strap wrench, so just so I can quickly get this in here, because it's a little tight to get in. So you want maximum thread engagement with your puller. Make sure this is backed out enough. Okay, it's bottomed out. So we just pop that loose. Take a number 3 JIS, and hopefully these will all crack loose. If not, use an impact driver. Undo this strap here. Save that for later. Alright, we can peel this gasket off. That was the first gasket that really didn't come off clean. Gonna have to do some scraping over here. Alright, so over here, just kind of gently pry on that grommet, and that will come off. So we can clean this up a little bit. I'm going to take a smear of the gray gasket sealer and just seal this right here. And maybe just 1/8 of an inch onto the outside surface here. Okay, so we have our stator here. What I did is I took a paint marker and painted these 3 marks and just wiped it so it shows up in the video clear. Also right here I put a mark. There's a little casting ridge right here, and we'll go through that in a second here, but let's first install this. Before we install that, we got to put the woodruff key back in here. I just want to make sure this slides on so we don't have any issues. Alright, so we're good there. Okay, back to the stator. Just go ahead and put this guy on here. Slide your grommet in there. Install your 3 screws loosely, because we're going to be doing some adjustments here and explaining. Okay, so that's loose and I can turn it. So let me get a better camera angle on here and we'll describe what these settings do. Alright guys, so here's the casting mark that I was talking about right here. So you see that little bump right there. Okay, and then we got 3 marks on the stator plate. The middle one is standard timing. The one on the right is retarded timing. And the one on the left here is advanced timing. So basically what that means is your flywheel is turning counterclockwise. To retard timing, you also turn this plate counterclockwise. To advance it, advancing the timing means earlier timing means you would turn it clockwise. Okay? So what do these all mean? Well, standard timing is standard. If you want it more advanced, I think the power band is peakier in the mid-range. And if you retard it, it's a little tamer and it will rev out longer and have a more usable power band, so to speak. So if you're an A-class rider and you're doing Supercross, then you want advanced timing. If you're a CD class rider like myself, or even just trails and shit like that, you definitely want to use a retarded timing or standard. Now this was set up standard. I'm gonna go with the retarded setting just because I want to see what the difference is, and you know, you can always go back in here and change it pretty easily, so it's not a big deal. But let me go ahead and get that set up here. Alright, so there's my retarded setting. Cinch these down and go ahead and look at it one more time. Make sure you're all good. Tighten it down. Alright, next up is the flywheel. Go ahead and put that on. Alright, so in stock form, there's just a nut on here. I'm running a flywheel weight. So basically this is the nut. Alright. So I'll just go ahead and spin that on. Now you can either use a strap wrench or the gear jammer, which I'm going to set up on the other side, and I've shown you how to set that up a few times already, so I don't think I need to do it again. And torque it to 48 foot-pounds. If you're a 250, 125 is different, and this flywheel weight wants 42 pounds, so that's what I'm torquing it to. And I forgot to tighten my motor bolts, so I'll have to do that in a second. I have the extra step of tightening down all these set screws. And what's nice is even with this flywheel weight, it looks like I can get to all three of these screws and adjust the timing. So that's cool. Alright, so we can go ahead and put on this cover, and you know, I have two gaskets in here and a spacer because of the flywheel weight, so I went ahead and bought new screws, longer screws. Install the shifter. Hopefully that's where I like to have it. All right, now I'm not going to tighten that down because the stand's in the way. So just go ahead and cinch that down and you'll be in business. Alright guys, well I hope you enjoyed that video. You're going to see a bunch of stuff pop up. The big HTMR logo, go ahead and click on that and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. Make sure to check out my KX250 playlist, which has a ton of helpful videos if you own that model. Also check out the full engine rebuild, man. That's my most detailed video yet. And try and support me. Buy me a beer or check out my Patreon page. Thanks again and see you in the next video.